Hello, everyone. This is the Paint the Town Red podcast. I am your host, as usual, Chance Bowen. And today we have a very special guest, Vril Khan. Vril Khan has an Instagram. Make sure you give him a follow. He's got hilarious reels and memes, and he drops a lot of truth bombs, which I have been addicted to. Vril, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, so I go by Vril Khan on Instagram. My name is Tim Sil. I'm originally from Mongolia, so I've been in the States for about 8, 9 years now. First came over here for college and met my wife in college and just stayed in America. And next year, I'm planning to go back to Mongolia and make real content from Mongolia, and I think they'll be dope.
That's awesome. So, you said you came here 9 years ago. Wow. You came here to go to school. What are you majoring in?
I majored first in agriculture, then in chemistry, but I don't work in those fields anymore. So I first arrived in San Francisco December 31st, 2016 on New Year's Eve. And I studied 1 semester in California, then moved to Kentucky because I got a scholarship in a small college called Vril College in Kentucky. Yeah, then I've been in Kentucky since then.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So you majored in, what do you do for a living if you're not in those fields?
I just work at Amazon now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did you, oh, wow. And so your plan is to go back to Mongolia and live, or are you just going to visit?
To live. So, I've been convincing my wife to go back to Mongolia because my wife's an American and Mongolia's really harsh, It gets cold.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, at first we're gonna do like 2 years experiment in Mongolia. And if she likes it, we're gonna stay. And if she doesn't like it, we'll just go from there.
Dude, that's awesome. Did you live as a kid? Did you live in the yurts and stuff like that? Or did you live in normal homes or?
So I lived in yurts partially, but not permanently. So in the summer, I would go to the country and I'll stay with my grandparents. And, I've stayed in yurts for weeks and months at a time.
That is awesome. That is so cool. I follow a few people on Instagram and they show the life,
Yeah.
make the fish and the food and just everything they do. And it's like, wow, it's pretty crazy. Those people are strong people. They conquered China multiple times, right?
Yeah. We have the nomadic lifestyle. We still have the nomadic lifestyle. It's actually like one of the last countries on earth who still have that nomadic herding lifestyle. So yeah, we preserve the
throughout
culture.
history, you see all these societies, right? And every single society that we know of has had a rise and a fall, and then they've been conquered by other people. But I think Mongolia, that area, that steppe, that steppe life, it's never been conquered by anybody. I don't think it ever will because it's just too harsh, right?
Yeah. So Mongolia, after the Genghis Khan, Mongolia fragmented, and we've been actually part of the Qing dynasty. So Qing dynasty were the Manchus. And Manchus were kind of similar to Mongolians. They were like nomadic, lived in northern China, like northeastern China, and they conquered. So Mongolia kind of joined the Qing dynasty on its own, and they conquered all of China too in the 1600s.
Oh, wow. So Mongolia is its own country right now, or is it part of China?
Yeah, it's its own country, but there's also Inner Mongolia, which is in China. Yeah, there are more Mongolians outside Mongolia than inside the country of Mongolia.
That's sweet. Yeah, you guys are obviously a nomadic people, so you like to move around, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So about 30-40% of the Mongolian population are nomadic herders. So they herd cattle, sheep, goats, horses. We're big on horses.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Who is it? Yeah, Genghis Khan. I watched a podcast about hardcore history with Dan Carlin.
Yes. Yeah.
He's got a really good 5-episode series about Genghis Khan and his life.
I think I've listened to his podcast with Lex Friedman, and he talks about the Mongol conquest and Genghis Khan.
Yeah, so interesting. Such an interesting guy. And so interesting that if you look at a lot of his motivation, I feel like, everyone has their own interpretation of what his motivation was, but I really do feel like it was to rescue the women that he loved in his life. And then,
yeah, that was like his first battle, his first, I guess you could call it conquest, was his wife was stolen, and he asked some other tribes, his best friend, for help, and they went and took his wife back, basically.
Got her back, and she was older, right? She was like 18, he was 16, right?
Yeah, she was 1 year older than Genghis Khan.
Okay, 1 year. Yeah, and I guess that those people, it was common to like get your wife or your daughters stolen from other tribes that would come around. And so it happened multiple times in his life. I think didn't his older brother try and kill him or something?
So when he was 12 or 13, he killed his older brother. Um, they say over some food, but I think it really was to establish dominance because his older brother was born from his father's concubine. And in Mongolian culture, it doesn't really matter which mother you were born from. If you establish your dominance, you get to inherit the position, power position. So
Right, right.
yeah, it was just to, I think, establish dominance. But I mean, in the Mongolian secret history, it's biased towards Genghis Khan, obviously. And apparently the older brother was being a jerk, being an asshole. So that's why he killed
I
him.
believe him. I believe him. I'm for Genghis Khan. I think he would. If I look
Yeah.
at his whole story, like overall, and I know a lot of liberals and a lot of gay wads look at him and go, "He was a murderous, guy, and he was a misogynistic." But it's like you got to be grounded in the time of where they were in, in history, and like the environment that he grew up in. And then also too, it's like I said, like we said, his first thing was his wife or his girlfriend that he lived with for a lot of his younger years was ripped out of his arms, stolen from him
And raped.
and
And,
rape too.
Genghis Khan's oldest son's paternity is still in question, and he was probably not his son.
I didn't know that she got raped.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what they
Wow.
do.
So they must have
And
raped her like what?
also, Genghis Khan's mother was stolen by his dad from her first husband.
Right. That's right. I remember
Yeah,
that. Yeah, that's where the story all starts. Is that he left. He was a coward. He pretty much left and lived,
yeah.
but
He
she
he
had to
ran
go with
away.
him. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just such a brutal experience.
So,
And
I mean, in that kind of environment or society, if you call it, if you have the power, if you want it, you just took it. If you can
yeah,
take it, you just took it. Basically, that's how it was for majority of the human history. That's why, like, so how I kind of went viral on TikTok is, I got on TikTok last year, and then I start seeing like the Save Europe edits and this little dark age like World War II edits. And then I start seeing the Agartha Vril edits. And, people just use this cool music and they just say their opinions.
hmm
And I saw a bunch of people complain about stolen land. And my first viral video was like, there's no such thing as stolen land. Land only belongs to whoever can conquer it and control it. And that's the truth. And I showed, my Genghis Khan back statue. Yeah, that's how it was for majority 99% of the human history. Like
yeah,
there's like
exactly.
really no such thing as stolen land. If you can't protect it, it's not yours.
Right. It's like the Native Americans. They came from Asia. So like, are they not native too? And the
Yeah,
Asians came
yeah,
from Africa. So like, is no one native to anywhere?
yeah.
Like that's insane. But yeah, it's so true. You're right. Yeah, it's what you can conquer and control and protect, and defend.
Because and back in the day in the Mongolian society, if you can't protect your wife, she's not yours. That's
Yeah.
how it was. Yeah,
What's
like
what's interesting too is like I think we face. I know this sounds like we're not going to compare to what Genghis Khan had to deal with, of course, but there's a saying. It's like good times create weak men create bad times create strong men. It kind of like it's a
yeah,
cycle that repeats.
that's so true. Because I think by the time um in Genghis Khan's great grandsons, I think they've gotten weak, and that's why they've lost all the territory. And also, there was a lot of civil wars between Genghis Khan's grandsons, so a lot of them kind of ended up killing each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like a cycle we see, and then what's happening today is we're dealing with maybe not, our wives are not getting rode up on a horse and then stolen from our house per se, but it is hard to find a wife. Like if you're a man, even if you're a good man, a good looking man, if you're halfway decent, it's a lot harder to find a woman who hasn't been with five guys, doesn't have an OnlyFans or anything else. And you can find them, of course. It's not like at the end of the world. There's lots of women, but it's getting worse. The data and the statistics support that men and women in America are not getting with each other. We're not having kids. Our birth rate's the lowest it's ever been
Yeah,
in 2025. Divorce rate's high, marriage rate's low. I mean, everything that has to do with men and women getting together is harder than ever. And it's because a lot of the reasons why is because women are not being stole physically, but they're being stolen intellectually through the online space, through
Exactly.
OnlyFans, through financial means. And that's sad. It's breaking up the family unit. They're teaching them that you need to be an independent woman and don't let a man enslave you. And that's what's led us to being in the situation we're in. Our birth rate's crumbling. We're going to be extinct.
Yeah, that whole radical feminism and sexual liberation that really fucked up society.
Yeah. And then on the other front, we have Genghis Khan also had, obviously he had the fear of his wife getting stolen, but he also had the fear of dying, right? Getting robbed, stolen
Yeah,
from, and dying, getting killed. Today, we don't face so much. I mean, we do. Charlie Kirk just got killed right there. It does happen, but it's not a regular occurrence. And we have guns today too, so it's a lot easier to defend yourself, I would argue. But the other side of the thing is that they're killing us in other ways, right? We're poisoned constantly through vaccines, through microplastics, through fast food, every aspect of our society, and we're robbed of our humanistic will to exist. Like in the Genghis Khan times, or like in the nomadic tribes, there's a reason why they're bigger, healthier, stronger. It's because they challenged on a daily basis, right? They have to deal with the cold. They're around horses. They got to farm or hunt and fish and all these things. Whereas we don't do that in today's society in America. It's
yeah,
almost
yeah.
like
It's like Americans and Westerners, it's almost like they live in a zoo, in a bubble that's protected from the harsh realities of the world, Because now the European civilization that survived countless wars, famines, and Black Death plagues, now they're just committing suicide. And I don't know
it's
what that
crazy.
is. It's really hard to understand. And I think it's exactly because that we don't face those harsh conditions anymore, that we're so weak and we don't have meaning in our lives. That's why a lot of people have depression and anxiety now. And also I think it's from abandoning God too. I think it's a lot of the depression and anxiety comes from abandoning God, because if you truly believe in God, you don't have to be depressed or anxious about anything. You don't have to worry about anything because there's God. You know what I'm saying?
I have a question for you because Genghis Khan was known for being kind of like he allowed other religions to be in his, not near him, or like obviously he didn't let them to have too much freedom, but he allowed them to at least exist. Whereas that's different from a lot of other cultures. What was
Yeah,
that about?
Yeah, he was known for being religiously tolerant. So he tolerated a lot of religions. And I think it was practical. I think it came out of necessity because these other people, at the time, Mongolians practiced shamanism, and the Christians, Buddhists, they're not going to convert to shamanism. But if you still want to keep them in the empire peacefully, you're going to have to allow them to practice their religions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty cool. Shamanism. So tell me about that. What are you the
No,
Mongolian religion?
I
What's their religion?
I identify as a Christian, and I've been going to Orthodox Church in the last few weeks, and yeah, it's been good. It's been great.
Oh wow.
And Mongolian Christianity's been in Mongolia even before Genghis Khan. During Genghis Khan's time, some of the tribes like Kiraids and Naimans, they were Christian tribes in Mongolia. But
Hmm.
Buddhism came later, during the Kublai Khan's period. Kublai Khan was Genghis Khan's grandson. So Christianity was in Mongolia before Buddhism, but the actual original religion is shamanism. It's like one of the most ancient religions in the world. It's very similar to the Native American shamanism.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Shamanism. Okay, okay. So they worship like rocks and sun gods and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's our main worship was Tengri. It means the sky god, sky father. And it's
Oh,
also very similar to that Indo-European Yamnaya religion, because they apparently worship the sky father.
wow, that's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, it's cool researching, the ancient religions that were around even before Christianity. Although Christianity is super old, it's incredibly how old it is. But yeah, it's interesting the religions, what they thought and what they believed. Do you guys have like what about shamanism? Like you guys worship the sky god, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of the story of creation, I guess?
So why the religion is called animism, and animism is everything alive. It's all spirits. And this real world we live in, it's connected to the spirit world. It's actually part of the spirit world. And there's the mother goddess and the sky father. And
Okay.
yeah, that kind of religion. I don't understand it
Hmm.
wholly. I went to shamans a few times back in Mongolia.
Yeah.
It's mostly about connection to nature and other animals, and
Oh, okay.
being all part of this spiritual realm.
Yeah. So I seen some videos too about the Mongols, and they have like the hawks on their arms, and then they use those to hunt like small animals.
Yeah.
And then of course I know they do a lot of fishing, of course, through the rivers and stuff that are there, right? And so they what are they? I guess they're catching like trout.
So a lot of trout. I don't know the fish names. What are they called in English? But we have some really popular. Like some of these fish are endangered, so you have to. If you catch them, you have to release them back. Yeah, fishing's a very popular sport in Mongolia. And those eagle people, those are Kazakh people. So in Western Mongolia, about 5% of the Mongolian population is Kazakhs. You know the country of Kazakhstan? So they are the same ethnicity as the Kazakhstan. So technically
Oh,
they're not Mongolians, and also they're Muslims too. And they live in Western Mongolia.
oh
And
wow.
they have eagles. In ancient times, Mongolians also had eagles, but we kind of, I guess, forgot about it. But now only the Kazakhs practice eagle hunting. There was actually a very famous documentary about this girl named Eagle Huntress. This young girl, like 13, 14-year-old, hunting with
Uh-huh.
eagle. And the eagles are not big enough to hunt wolves, but they can hunt foxes, marmots, and small rodent animals like rabbits and stuff. Yeah.
What was it? It was her name was what? It was what was the documentary?
Eagle Huntress.
I'm gonna look this up. This is awesome. I love stuff like this. I just
Yeah.
I got a deer's neck in my crock pot right now cooking a stew. My buddy went
Nice.
up to the mountains and killed a deer, so I'm getting some venison, so that's kind of cool. But do you guys do a lot of big game hunting like deer or anything like that?
Uh, Not really. We have a lot of like pig hunting, boar hunting, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Were pigs around a long time ago?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
and I mean, some people still hunt deer and wolves because we are nomadic animals, and wolves eat our animals. So sometimes you got to go out there and hunt them down.
Did
And
you
we
guys would eat the
have
wolf? Would you
so
guys eat
I've
the wolf?
eaten I've eaten wolves before. Yeah, we eat
Uh,
them. Also, we eat horse meat.
oh, you guys eat horse meat?
Yeah.
What oh yeah, that's right. What do you guys kill the horses when they get older, or do you just like do you have like a farm, do you like domesticate them where you kill them regularly, or how does it work?
So Mongolian horses are semi-wild horses, and I think once they reach a certain size, certain age, about maybe 5, 6 year old, I think they can be slaughtered. But we prefer to slaughter older horses, yeah. But
Okay,
it's
that's
there's a fine balance because once the horse is too old, the meats gets tough, you know.
right. Yeah, that's not good. You don't want no raggedy old meat.
Yeah.
Wow, so horses were wild, and then obviously I know they were wild and they domesticated them, but what's the difference? Like, some animals that are domesticated showed physical differences, whereas domestic or wild animals are different. What's the like? Are wild horses? Do they look different? Are they shorter or?
So Mongolian horses are like semi-wild. They're still domesticated, but we don't have like ranges. They're just kind of out there, out there in the
Mhm.
wild. And Mongolian horses are much smaller than the horses. I'm in Kentucky, so there's a big horse culture in Kentucky, and
Mhm.
these Kentucky horses are at least like foot taller than Mongolian horses. Yeah, so people here call Mongolian horses ponies.
Okay.
Yeah, but we conquered the world from the backs of those small horses.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Wow, yeah, I want to do some more research in the Mongolian people. They're so interesting, man. I'm really interested lately. I've recently been taking a really big interest just in, why we're kind of domesticating ourselves with society. And it's
Yes.
good in some ways, right? Security, another way, and you have the ability, guns and inventions and medical advancements. Those are all nice, or those are all nice. But we're also losing something, and I think we're losing our spiritual connection with nature. I think we're losing. I think our health is not getting better. Yeah, we might live longer. Actually, our or our life expectancy is actually going down, not up. Right, as of right now, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's up compared to like people that live in the wild, of course, because they have you know so much elements that they're
So the
facing, but
main thing that bring down their life expectancy is child mortality, but once they go through the childhood, they actually live longer.
yeah, that's what I heard, right. So the
Yeah,
averages, right, they try to say, "Oh, they don't live long. They only live to 40." It's like, "No, the ones that make it to 40 usually live to
because
freaking
half the
70,
children die
90."
before they're like 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm always trying to think of ways that like Americans or like people in our society we can kind of go back to those older ways. You hear like the trad wife, the trad lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
Homesteading, off-grid living. But the problem with those is now if we do that, then guess what? We have to evade our areas in the cities. And
yeah.
I don't want to retreat. I don't want to retreat my own land, my own area. The cities, the schools, you wrestle, you go to school, go to university, all these things. You don't want to retreat from those areas. So of course not. But I think it would be good to have like a practice of having your land in the rural areas that you can always retreat to, and maybe you go every summer or whatever.
I think actually that's probably the only way to save the West, because all the problems that modern Western people are experiencing, they don't affect the Amish, because Amish birth rate is eight kids per woman, and
Yeah.
they don't have any of these mental disorders. But
Yeah.
they're the most healthy people. All the problems that are affecting the modern people is because of the modernity that I
Hmm.
think we, in the name of science and progress, that we have abandoned God and nature and that connection to the land. And I heard about that return to the land community. You probably heard about them.
Hmm.
I think they're doing it right, and I think that's probably the only way. Because I personally think some really hard times are coming, and most of us probably not going to survive it. Because with the currency, the American debt, the American government debt, it just reached $38 trillion, and this is how empires end. It's because the currency loses all of its value, and it's eventually leads to civil wars and fall of
Yeah.
civilization down the road. And once your currency doesn't have any value, if you don't have anything of value like food, land, stuff like that, you're dead.
Yeah. And we don't. That's the thing. That's why we're
Yeah.
begging London to give our gold back, and now we're going to be taking Venezuela to war. I think the part of the reason that one of the benefits in taking them to war is we might get their gold. Which they have some hard assets
Yeah,
that we
and
can
I
use.
think, gold is good. Gold as a money is good, but even gold, you can't eat gold.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. That's
think
true.
land, livestock, some farming, I think that's really the way to go. And you gotta do it as a community. You gotta have some like-minded people, and you gotta have young families, because it's really like young people, they're not getting married. They're like all the women are fucking brainwashed feminists, and the men are lonely, they're disaffected, radicalized, and I'm probably playing part in radicalizing them. But yeah, that's the reality, and I really don't know how to fix that. It's like, have you heard about the mouse utopia?
What is it?
Mouse utopia.
Huh.
So it's an experiment
Oh,
conducted back.
Mal.
Mouse,
I have heard about it, but I'm not too familiar with it.
um, mouse utopia. Mouse animals, mice. So
Mouse.
yeah, yeah,
Mouse.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they conducted an experiment in a like cage that can contain up to 6,000 mice. And all the conditions was perfect. They have enough food. The temperature was perfect. But once the mouse population reached 2,000, they stopped breeding. They started cannibalizing on each other. And the bigger mouses start basically killing the smaller infant mouses and killing the female mouses and stop breeding. And I think that's kind of illustrates our society perfectly, because humans now stop breeding and they're having a lot of abortions. And because as far as physical material need, this everything is supplied, because nobody's going hungry. In America, actually, poor people tend to be fat, which is a weird thing. That never happened in society before.
Yeah. So what do
So,
Mongol? Oh, go ahead.
no, no, you go ahead. Yeah, I'm good on that.
What do you guys refer to? You guys refer to yourselves as Mongols?
Yes, we do.
Mongols?
Yeah.
What uh what do the Mongols think of Americans? Like they think they're lazy, fat, all this.
So, as me personally, as a growing up, I've watched a lot of American movies, listened to American songs. America's like the very cool place. And I still think a lot of Mongolians have that perception of America, that material wealth, Americans live in big houses and Americans eat nice things, and Americans don't lack any physical, like living standard here in America is much higher than in Mongolia. We have that perception, but after me personally living in America for 8, 9 years, I have that even though America has all that material wealth, that it still lacks something spiritual that other like agrarian farming or herding societies still have.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
think, also there's like the city culture. I mean, we still have the city culture in Mongolia because there's one big city in Mongolia where half the people live. So Mongolia only has 3 million people, but 1.5 million live in one city. And it's a weird thing because the smaller the community, smaller the villages, much more intimately people are connected, People, everybody knows each other on an intimate level. Everybody understands each other and they work together for each other. But the bigger the city goes, lonelier people become. Like if you guys living in New York, you're mostly alone. You probably don't have good friends. You probably just don't
Mhm.
have family there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think
What?
that's why. I think do you know about the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski?
Yeah.
So I've listened to Unabomber Manifesto, and I think he identified the problem correctly, that this industrial society, people moving from rural villages to big cities to work in factories, I think that really psychologically killed us all.
I mean, you can tell if you like, if you, I mean, go on a camping trip. When you get back, you feel so bad. You feel a lot better when you're just out in the woods or
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah,
fishing, hunting. Keep it small and it's fun. You feel connected with nature. Just feels easy. Feels right. You're in the city. It's disgusting. There's chemicals everywhere. Homeless. There's fentanyl. People are dying of fentanyl. The ideologies are totally wacky.
yeah.
You got
And
like
city people are
girls trying to be
total
guys.
assholes. City people are total
Yeah,
assholes.
you got girls trying to be guys, guys trying to be girls. It just everything is backwards. It's upside down land. I mean, you start really acting weird, and we're just
Yeah.
not meant to live like that.
Yeah, we have to accept that we are part of nature and we are supposed to be in nature, and we really abandoned that. Like we gained a lot of, lot material wealth, like AC, electricity, cars, computers and internet, like a lot of things, but what did we sacrifice in that? And I think it was our spirituality and our connection to nature.
Yeah, yeah. And with me, it's just like it's your health too. I mean, if you go on a hike up in the mountains with a rifle and you're deer hunting, by the end of it, you're so tired, your legs are
Yeah.
gassed. It's like imagine
Yep.
if you did that every day. You're gonna be just freaking shredded. Like it's gonna be a lot easier to be healthy and to be fit
You're
and
gonna be
to
that Chad hunter gatherer. You're
yeah,
literally gonna be Chad. I love watching Outdoor Boys because that's literally what he's doing.
yeah, he's awesome. I love Outdoor Boys. So what made you want to what caused you to get into Christianity?
So my family's not religious. My parents were not religious. My grandparents not religious because we had 70 years of communism in Mongolia. And as you know, communists, they hate religion. So they killed all the monks, destroyed all the monasteries, and my parents grew up during communism, so they're not religious. But as a kid, I was not religious. I didn't think about much in God and stuff. When I was a kid, like Buddhism, it was making a major comeback in Mongolia. There were a lot of monks and stuff, and I really never like feel connected to Buddhism. There's like a lot of corruption, and these monks really are not the exemplary human beings.
The
But
monks are not and the Buddhist monks, they're not
yeah, yeah,
a good
Buddhist
people?
monks in Mongolia, they're not great people. And I'm just
Why?
talking
What do
from
they what
experience.
do they do?
Because I had a cousin, like second cousin, he was a monk, but he would smoke, drink, he would have sex with a bunch of different girls. Bro, you're a monk and you're a player at the same time. So
Like you're
yeah,
trying to give me spiritual advice. It's like, bro, you got to get your life
yeah, yeah.
together.
Like, so you trying to give me spiritual advice, this human being, and that was quite common among the monks. My environment was not religious, but when I was like in fifth grade, every summer I go to the countryside, spend time at my grandma's, and there was this small Christian church, like Baptist church, and we swim in the river all day, and we get hungry, and if you go to church, they give you food. You just gotta listen to what they're saying for an hour or two.
And
And
this was in Mongolia. They had a Baptist church.
yeah, in a
Whoa.
small village. It's a
What
very
was
small
it?
church.
Was it like was there a white person there or was it
No, it
Mongolians
was a
that?
Mongolian person, Mongolian pastor.
Wow,
So
that's pretty cool.
soon after we started going to that church, a bunch of Koreans came with a Korean pastor, and they took us to a like a nice camp out in the country, and we had Bible lessons, and the Korean pastors, their job was to convince that all the events in the Bible really happened. And so, and we were like baptized and we became Christians. Okay. But after the pastors were gone, after I came back to the city, I just kind of forgot about it all, went back to my atheist life. And then I started looking some stuff from the Bible, and I was like, I really liked Bible. Read the Book of Solomon. I mean, I've never read the entirety of Bible, but I've read the Book of Solomon and like the wisdom of Solomon, and him saying like everything in life is vanity. You can never satisfy any of your desires, and that really vibed with me. But I never went back to church again. And then in college, here in America, I also start thinking about God and stuff. And I've recently, I my wife also was an atheist. She didn't believe God, but me, years of rambling about God next to her, she kind of started to come together. And she actually suggested me to go to church. So we just recently started going to this Orthodox church.
Hmm.
And I watched some YouTube videos between like difference between Catholic Church, Orthodox Church, Protestant churches, and I wanted to go to the Orthodox Church because it just seemed right to me.
Yeah. Orthodox is making a comeback for sure. I mean,
Yeah, I
Catholics
think
are too, but Orthodox is really pushing.
yeah, I personally believe, from what I've learned, I think it was the original true church that was founded by Christ and the apostles.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
I really like those biblical stories, like the Old Testament stories, like Book of Job, because
Job, yeah.
you whatever happens in your life, you can't explain it. You will never be able to see the big picture. Only God is, and that's so true because it's so hard to make of like innocent kids suffering. Like you don't know what to make of it. Like and a lot of people go to atheism because of this. Like, what kind of terrible God would make innocent kids suffer? And also, there's like a lot of evil in the world. There's like real evil people, real evil forces, and I believe the people behind the Ukraine war, people behind the World War One and Two, and what are they doing in Gaza? Like, that's the forces of the evil, and I personally don't have any power or whatsoever to fight that evil. So my only choice is to turn to God, like, because like I mean I'm not the big Andrew Tate fan, but he said like, because in physics, for every force there's an equal and opposite force. Because I'm
Hmm.
seeing so much evil in this force, there must be something equal and opposite to this. So, and I think that's God, and I think that's Jesus Christ.
Wow,
And
that's a good
I
perspective.
also really like how Jesus Christ was able to win his enemies through love and kindness. Because yeah, some of stories when a bunch of Roman soldiers made him and his disciples carry their bags for a mile, because it was a law for Jews to carry Roman baggage for a mile. And after the mile, the Roman soldiers were like, okay, it's a mile, give us our baggage. Making them carry more than a mile would be illegal. But Jesus, like, carrying this stuff out of own volition is not illegal. So we will help you carry. And those all the Roman soldiers, they became disciples of Jesus Christ. So even though the Roman soldiers were being real assholes, jerks to Jesus Christ, he was able to win them through love and kindness. And I think that was his main message, and I think that's what God is all about.
Yeah. There is something about, when you read the Bible and the closer you are to God, because there's other texts that are like written later after Jesus was around. The churches don't really give them much validation, but they're somewhat close to the message, but not entirely. They're a little off. But you can tell when someone was really close to Jesus by like how balanced his perspective was.
Yeah,
There's life's complicated, and you can make decisions on, what you think is right or wrong. You could tell Jesus always came from a real balanced perspective that was just leagues ahead of everything. I mean, he's God, so he knows what's right or wrong, but you really see it in in the stories that you hear about him. So, no doubt about it. Whatever, if you're a non-believer, it's like, man, just read the story, read what he said, read the actions he took, and I think it'll change your mind. Like, he had something. Either he was God, like the Bible says and like he says, or he was just infinitely more wise and smart than everybody by like way by leaps and bounds. It's like, you
Yeah,
know,
I think that's what the Holy Trinity is about. You know, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, and Father being the God, Jesus being the Son, and the Holy Spirit is which animates all of us. But it's also same thing all at once. You know,
hmm
Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
they're
It's
all
like
one.
three things, but also the same thing, and it's also like one of the mysteries of the Christian Church.
hmm
Because we
Yeah.
there's so much stuff that we don't know, we don't understand, and the science people, they try to explain the world like Big Bang theory and stuff, but that's just a creation myth for our modern civilization. If you really think about it, there was like this infinitely small dot, and it suddenly exploded and created the universe. How does it better than the Bible Genesis story at explaining how the world was created?
Yep. And we're allowed to teach it in schools, but we're not allowed to teach the Bible in schools.
Yeah, yeah, no, they laugh at it. They
Yeah. It's incredibly sickening. And that I think that's goes into another thing about our society too, is we're so obsessed with ripping the church and God out of our government, out of our society, out of every aspect because of the separation of church and state. But I don't
yeah.
think that's the correct move at all. I think then it causes us to spend our money and effort on atheistic organizations that do not benefit humans, that don't benefit any of us. And it leads to a lot of issues, you know. We're not solving the
Because
homeless issue.
yeah, the first 10 commandments, basically the first law, it came from the God, and even US Constitution, like your freedom, free speech, and ability to protect yourself. And I think it all came from God. And I liberals like to think they just woke up one day with all this morality and completely deny the progress that the Christianity made in Western civilization. And they, because it's been like 2000 years of work in the progress to come here, and they're like, nope, Christianity didn't do anything. It oppressed women, and it, oppressed
Yeah.
minorities.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, right.
We were just born with this morality. We're good people. And it's funny that liberals are everything that they accuse the conservatives and the right wing of. Like, they're more racist. They're more, they're not tolerant at all.
No, yeah. They're actually racist. Like, they
Yeah.
actually believes whites are superior, and that is why they believe that they should lower themselves in order to make in order to make a level
Yeah,
playing field.
exactly.
That's racist.
White liberals have this white savior complex that the whites are responsible to save all the minorities, basically.
Yeah, and it's really annoying. That's why I always say, like, you know, yeah, I get annoyed with blacks and with Jews and with gays and stuff, but I really get annoyed with I'm most
Yeah,
racist
yeah.
towards white people who are weak. I mean, that's just it.
Yeah. And it's really crazy. Like, they are really suicidal. And I think it's because they've lost that spirituality,
Yeah,
psychological health that makes people healthy and good functioning members of society. And because they don't have that, they want to die, but they just don't want to die themselves. They want to make everyone die with them, basically.
yeah. Their worldview is really sick. It's all based on spite, and it's all based on hating white men or whatever the structural is, whatever the pyramid that we are. They
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
beat
It's a
everybody up to that
cisgender
pyramid.
straight white man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like, they're being all about inclusive and tolerant and diversity and not being racist. Then literally discriminate people based on their sexuality, race, and gender.
yeah, yeah. That's true. Yeah, I love the Vril edits and stuff like that. What is Vril and all this? Like, what does that come from? Is it like from? I know it's from a book or something. Can you
Yeah,
explain kind of
so
what the background of it is?
in 1870, this book was written named Coming of the Race. And then the Coming of the Race book's all about, how the Yakub created white people and their cities, and they went down to the whole of Earth and founded Agartha. And in the Agartha, they were able to evolve into a superior race. Basically,
Okay,
they
I'm
have
gonna have to
this.
read.
Basically, they have this energy like chi, Chinese concept for energy, and that energy for those five people are real.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into that.
And they use telekinesis and technology, and they have superpowers, and also they have UFOs.
Oh
And
wow.
it all came from that because the Nazis were into like UFOs and Antarctica because it's said that the entrance to Agartha is in Antarctica.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the Nazis believed it?
I don't know, but Nazis were esoteric though. They believed in something because they sent expeditions to Antarctica, you know?
Oh, wow. They were esoteric?
Yeah, they were esoteric. I mean, they were Christian, but they also believed in the occult and
Mm.
esoteric, like magical ideas.
Whoa, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about magic and like esoteric beliefs and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm Christian, but I do wonder like what's the whole why did so many people give validation to it? Why did the Nazis give validation to it? I even know, I mean, Hitler, I know he had like a double doll or something like that. He had like some voodoo dolls and stuff like that, didn't he?
I'm not sure, but he probably did just
Yeah.
from knowing what he was into. Yeah, he was into like all that esoteric occult stuff. Because I think they got into it because his enemies, aka the Jewish bankers and the Rothschilds and the secret societies, they were all into that stuff.
But yeah.
So I guess it was maybe about knowing your enemy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because
Yeah,
I
they're really
really
into
believe in that magic occult alchemy. Because if you look at the modern financial system, it's alchemy. That it's really all fugazi. It's we believe in the money that doesn't exist. This modern financial system only operates because everyone believes in it. And
Mhm.
if people doesn't believe in the power of US dollar, it doesn't exist anymore. It's like, some recent neuroscience on how reality is created. It's literally created from our imagination. So I think that's how these Jewish bankers what they utilized this alchemical magic that
Wow.
they created this world central banks, and through this
Wow,
country
that's
world central banks successfully enslaved the entire global population. Because in America there are mortgages. Every loan has an interest, and there are mortgages. Whatever you buy, house, there's mortgage, car loans, credit cards,
mhm.
and it's same in Mongolia. You'd think that they don't have much control in Mongolia, but most Mongolians have loans. They have mortgages. They have car loans. Even you
Oh,
buy an
no, so
iPhone.
The Jews have made it to Mongolia is what you're
Yeah, yeah,
saying.
yeah. They've made it to every corner of the world, and I think the
Even
last.
China?
Yeah, I think they funded the Mao and the Communist Revolution in China, but I don't know about the modern China. But in every war, they funded both sides. Like since the Napoleonic Wars, because they funded Napoleon, they funded the English, and there's a famous story about Rothschild. He had this very fast messenger system, and when Napoleon was
Pigeons.
defeated, he knew about it first, and he sold all his stock in the French. No, I think he sold all his bonds in all his English bonds. And then everyone thought the England lost, and they all sold it, and he was able to buy it at the bottom price. And then the news came later that England won, and he just tripled his wealth.
He 5 times their entire family's wealth in one day, and that was
Yeah,
kinda like the feeling that was like that was the final straw. That's when they completely owned the West, all of Europe, they owned the world at that point. But
yeah,
even before that, they had their tentacles pretty
deep
spread,
into
spread out
yeah,
pretty far.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in the World War One, they were behind the both sides, and I think in the World War
Yeah,
Two, they
that's
were behind the
obvious.
both
Yeah,
sides.
yeah.
And I, because if you look at America as an empire, since the World War II, America propped up its own enemies. Okay, because I know that Ford hated Jews, so obviously he supported Hitler and the Nazis. It wasn't just Ford. Okay, General Motors, some American bankers, they funded
Yep.
Nazis. They propped up Nazis in Germany,
S.
and
Patton, yep.
during the World War II, the American government propped up the Soviet Russia. They've sent so much arms and equipment to Soviet Russia they were able to. Because during the 40s, the Soviet Russia, it was like poor, broke. They didn't have anything. Okay. It was American funding, American weapons that made them fight the Nazis. And then
Mhm,
after the World War II, the Soviets became enemies, but it was created by the Americans in the first place.
mhm.
And also, if you look at the terrorists, the Islamic terrorists, because when they were fighting the Soviet Union, they were called Mujahideen, and they were financed by CIA. It's well known that Osama bin Laden was on CIA payroll. And after
Yeah.
the 9/11, they became the enemies, which they were first created by the CIA. And then they later became the enemies. Now China, because you know a lot of the conservatives, the free market capitalism guys, they love talking about Reagan and Reaganomics. But he's the one who loosened all the regulations that protected American jobs and American industry, and he shipped them all to China and gave China a lot of American technology, American capital, and they propped up China. Now, who's the big enemy now?
China.
Yeah. So I think because of this military industrial complex, because of this American war machine, it needs to justify its own existence. That if it doesn't have any enemies, it doesn't need to exist, right? So, and that's how these people make their money, like the Rothschilds and stuff. They've been doing this for at least 200-300 years.
Oh yeah.
That's
They're
just
very well. They
known.
they control
Yeah.
the media. That's why Fox News and CNN is the worst. It's just total brain rot for our older generations.
Yeah.
What do the Mongols think about China?
Right now or back in the day?
Just like throughout history, like right now and back in then and
So
everything.
during Genghis Khan's era, we thought about this sedentary, civilized people as basically sheep to be herded, and we are the wolves. So I mean, in Genghis Khan's time, there was religious element, there was racial element because we are the Mongols, we are warriors, superior people, and nowadays also there's still tension because like going back 2-3 thousand years, Mongolia and China always been enemies.
So you guys are like the equivalent of like the Vikings to the English, pretty much.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and but when China is stronger, they would like to fuck us up because they want revenge, just like anyone
Mm,
else. Yeah.
yeah.
Now currently China is strong, we're weak, so there's really nothing we can do about it. We are actually really dependent on China economically. Which I don't think is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they going to try to take you guys over soon, you think?
I don't think so because the modern Mongolia exists as a buffer state between Russia and China.
Mm.
If any of them tries to take Mongolia, it's gonna be a huge tension between Russia and China. Oh,
Do you guys
yeah.
have a lot of Russian roots too?
So yeah, we have a lot of shared history with Russia going back to Genghis Khan because the Mongolians basically controlled Russia for 200 years. Yeah. And during the Soviet times, a lot of Russians were in Mongolia and there was a lot of cultural exchange. Actually, my grandma graduated university in Russia. She's a fluent Russian speaker. And from the older generation, from the Soviet era, the older generation Mongolians, they all speak Russian. And there was a lot of cultural exchange. We would call them Russian brothers. But after the 90s, that kind of went away because there was rising nationalism and some people kind of realized the Soviets fucked us. Because one thing they, really tried to eradicate that Mongolian feudal society that once Mongolians knew their genealogy going back 10, 20 generations, but the Soviets came in and eradicated all of it. And I don't know, I only know my great grandparents and I don't know anybody going back before my great grandparents.
So they came into Mongolia and eradicated them?
Yeah. And they also eradicated a lot of nobles, the people from the line of Genghis Khan.
Dude,
They
they have killed the Soviets,
killed them
the
all.
communists, they have killed so many people. It's insane.
I know they killed the most people in the history. Like, so the most death toll events, it was communism by far. Because I think the second is World War II, and the third is Mongolian conquest. And the first is communism, because that's like 60 million dead in Russia, 50 to 100 million dead in China. And yeah, it was terrible.
And so in China, China obviously had Mao and the Communist Revolution and all this, and now they've got a government that's communist. But they're kind of like a hybrid communist, right?
Yeah, they are hybrid communists. They have dictatorship, but they also have capitalism
Mhm.
because that's how they attracted the American industry.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so, would you guys say, who do you guys today, who does Mongolia favor more, China or Russia?
I think Russia, but it's tough. I think it's Russia because we've had this long-standing beef with China, and all the Mongolian nationalists they don't like China. And if it's known that you have some Chinese ancestry, yeah, they don't like it.
Whoa, that's cool. And then, okay, so Russia. And then what about America? Do you guys hate America the most or like America the most, you think?
I think we like America the most.
Oh, wow.
Because,
Okay.
like I said, growing up, America is the fucking coolest country on earth, and
Yeah.
also the most powerful, and Americans make cool movies. But I guess it was the
Mhm.
Jews all along.
Yeah, it's the Jews, man. Yeah, for real. Hey, we got to take it back. It wasn't always the Jews, and I occasionally we'll sneak in a few good guys like Clint Eastwood or like Mel Gibson,
Yeah.
like Braveheart. Those were all rent or Apocalypto. All those movies were good. All the Clint Eastwood movies were good. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Well, man, thanks so much for doing the podcast. We're at an hour now. Yeah, thanks so much, man. I learned a lot of stuff. That's really interesting about this kind of steppe culture. I'm going to do some more research into it and maybe start doing some more things out in the wild for sure.
Yeah, because the Europeans also came from the steppe cultures. It just happened much earlier, it's like 4 or 5 thousand years ago. So yeah, appreciate you for inviting me. I've had a good time having this conversation. Yeah,
All
because
right. Well, if you want to do it again too,
yeah,
yeah, if you ever
yeah,
want to do it again, let me know, whatever. Yeah.
yeah, I love talking about this stuff. I
Cool.
love talking about
All right, guys,
history,
this is the Paint the
politics.
Town Red
Yeah.
podcast. We hope you guys have a wonderful week. Today is Sunday, so I'll get this out tomorrow, so maybe it'll be Monday when you're hearing this. So, yeah, we'll see you guys for the rest of the week. Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, bye.